Jockey Malcolm Johnston.
I was looking through the winners and place getters, and I've never run a place in the Oakley Plate before. I haven't been riding that long, only a couple of years, but I've never had any luck in the Oakley Plate. So today, I was on the filly good enough to do it. 20 Alley was no problem. She's got a ton of speed, and I was very fortunate that I could slot in where I wanted to, and that made the race for me.
On the back of your breeches, you have embroidered Miracle.
That's right.
Well, you proved that it's an apt phrase today.
Well, you can perform miracles when you're on horses good enough.
And she sure was good enough yesterday. What's her future, Keith?
I think she'll run at Moonee Valley and miss the Newmarket handicap, Bruce, and that was a miracle ride by Malcolm, wasn't it, to get her over to the fence from the outside alley. Incidentally, 3 Sydney jockeys finished in the placings. 4 females started in the race, and they ran 1, 2, 3, 4 with wraparound just behind the place getters.
It was quite amazing. And speaking of one of the females, Joanne was the heavily backed favourite. She just didn't seem to fire. What about her in the Newmarket handicap now?
Look, I think it was the Caulfield first-time bogey for Joanne. In matter of fact, I think the way she got to the line, and had the race been another 100 metres, she might have won. And I don't think that run detracted from her chances in the Newmarket at all.
What about Vo Rogue yesterday? Now, he was odds on in the St George Stakes. He's a terrific run behind Better Loosen Up. He seemed disappointing, didn't he?
Yes, again, Connections cried foul. They said that the track had been affected by watering, obviously not by rain, because Melbourne has been very dry. And even Bob Hoysted, trainer of Citizen, lent some weight to that suggestion when he said that with the lush growth and a little bit of the sting out of the ground, it helped Citizen. But I couldn't really find excuses for Vo Rogue, especially when Coachman Stewart went past him in the straight. He is a light of lesser days.
Yeah, it was sad to see. And when you talk about the track, and I know they were upset yesterday, With Me did equal the Oakley Plate record, so there couldn't have been a lot wrong with the track, could there?
No, that's right. And Bruce, before we go on to that race, the 2-year-olds, they're going to be nominal favourites now for the Blue Diamond, the filly Razor Rhythm, and Lee Friedman's colt. Now, I spoke to
Chief
Lee...
Headhunter, yeah, he was impressive, wasn't he?
Was he ever? And I spoke with Lee this morning, and he believes that the race will be won by the barrier draw. He said that his colt is as good as David Hayes' filly, and the luck in the draw will decide the Blue Diamond winner. OK, well, that's for next week. There's a lot of rivalry between the Hayes and Friedman stable at the moment. They're having a tremendous time. Let's go to the St George Stakes. Vo Rogue, the hot favourite here, but he was disappointing.
Vo Rogue given a breather, coming up towards the 650, led by a length to Bahrainer. A length and a half then to Savage Toss, followed by Kingston Rule, and Coachman's Chiller's gaining some ground, followed by Barlandia. Citizen last of all as they come around the home turn, 450 to go. Vo Rogue only a half length to Bahrainer, and Savage Toss is looming up on the outside of the picture with a good run. Kingston Rule is back behind them as they straighten up. Vo Rogue is being tackled by Savage Toss at the top of the straighter, and the import Savage Toss is bounded up to take the lead from Vo Rogue, who's battling on. Citizen coming with a great run down the outside, 150 left to go. Citizen hit the front. Here's Kingston Rule down the outside. Vo Rogue is beaten. Citizen's in front. He's drawing away Citizen, and Citizen wins the St George by a length and a half. Savage Toss second. Ahead away third to Kingston Rule.
Well, he felt beautiful today. Even though he was at the tail of the field, they were going along in a good bat up front, and he was nice and free in his action. And when I asked him to do something seriously just before the corner, he put his mind on the job. So it was a good performance.
Nicely judged ride too, Mick.
Well, it's easy to win on the good ones, isn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mick.
Well, Keith has got the same answer, Malcolm Johnston and Mick Dittman. When you're on the right horse, you can win the race.
That's right, and long-term plans for Citizen include the Japan Cup. Bob Hoysted's prepared to bypass the Sydney Cup and hoping to get an invitation for Japan, and of course that's a long-term plan for Better Loosen Up to go back there too. That'd be great to have that pair representing Australia.
You're not kidding. Will they clash in the Australian Cup at Flemington in 2.5 weeks' time?
Well, Bob Hoysted said that he wouldn't run Citizen at Flemington if the track was concrete, rock hard, but he would run it if it had a surface like yesterday's surface. So a few days before we get a decision on that one, I think, Bruce.
OK, and both Savage Toss and Kingston Rule were good runs, weren't they?
Yes, both forthcoming autumn winners for sure.
OK, well, I had Beachside described to me by David Hayes on Friday as the sleeping giant of the Hayes team.
On Friday?
Yeah, lovely, wasn't it? I forgot to ring you, actually. I couldn't...
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Your fax machine wasn't working, Keith. She was very impressive in the Schweppes Cup. Second up over 1,600. Let's have a look at this filly.
Where Celestia is being tackled over on the outside by Gallicus, on the outside finishing on Meg Seagoer. Down the outside McCarthy as they come down to the 200-metre mark. Celestia and Bull Rancher getting a run on the inside is coming home pretty well. And wider on the track is Beachside. Celestia's in front with 100 metres left to go. Beachside is flying down the outside. Beachside on the outside swapping them. Bull Rancher, they hit it. Beachside from Bull Rancher. Maybe Galaxy Dancer third ahead of Celestia.
Well, if she's the sleeping giant and they've got horses like Better Loosen Up, How do we line her up now with Trisco, who was so impressive in winning the Australian Guineas the week before? I'm thinking of Oaks in
Yes.
Sydney.
I think she's still got a little to do. She did give weight and a beating to the Colts and Geldings yesterday, but she hasn't run into Trisco's classes yet, I don't think, Bruce. And on that point, Whisked, an odds-on favourite, was most disappointing, and I thought that she was probably second and challenging Trisco for the rating of top middle distance to staying filly in Australia.
Yeah, we'll see that race in a minute. Now, superimposing the Chipping Norton, a Group 1 race in Sydney yesterday. Darren Beadman took off pretty early, and that can be a problem with this horse at times.
Yes, it was obvious that because Superimpose was an odds-on favourite and because weight for age races are often tactical races, that Darren Beadman erased any doubt that he would be dealt with legally by other riders, but he did make it a little tough for Superimpose.
He sure did. Let's go to the Chipping Norton. Superimpose, he makes a very strong run from about the 600.
And Superimposes taking off now. There he is moving up as they come towards the turn. They're packing very sharply. Dr. Grace actually Superimposes whip past Dr. Grace as they come to the turn, and a little kisses last, but they're tightly bunched on the corner. Into the straight, Mr. Exclusive, Fill the Bill, Royal Creation, Superimpose on the extreme outside, but he's in overdrive now, and Superimpose has raced up to head them at the 200 mark. Superimpose draws clear of Royal Creation, who's hanging on gamely. Dr. Grace is plugging away on the outside. Superimpose, though, about a neck in front. Royal Creation's making him stretch as they come to the line. Oh, he had a pretty hard gallop, Superimpose, but he gets there by about a half neck to Royal Creation.
What do you make of him, Keith? He is a super horse some days, and other days he's just classy, isn't he?
Yes, he's a very good handicapper. He is better in Sydney. Lee Friedman this morning said he was more than likely to contest the Doncaster rather than the BMW. Interestingly, Bruce, after that race, Grant Cooksley protested and then mid-hearing wanted to withdraw the protest. Stewart said we've gone too far for that, and naturally the protest was thrown out.
OK, he was a rider of Royal Creation, which was a very good run. And now, Keith, a moment ago, mentioned Whist as being the number 2 filly behind Trisco. She was odds-on in the Surround Stakes, but she was pretty disappointing.
Straightening now, and Durga Princess about 2 off the fence, kicked away. Seasoning has come from last and hasn't gone around a horse. Seasoning has burst up on the rail to join Durga Princess. Let's Hurry. Whist is struggling under the whip. 150 out, and Let's Hurry headed Seasoning. Whist is only plodding as they get near home, and then Durga Princess, but Let's Hurry getting a beautiful run through the bunch in the straight, raced away to beat Seasoning. Whist has run third.
She's not a bad horse. She ran 4th in the Victoria Oaks Let's Hurry at her last start, and that was first up. She might be a challenger in the autumn.
Yes, she had no luck in the Oaks either. She came from, I think, a wide barrier and well back and ran an eye-catching 4th. So to do that first up, she will improve and she'll be up there with the best of them.
OK, we go to the Liverpool City Cup. This is a big sprint race for the year at Warwick Farm, and the 3-year-old All Archie successful.
Into the straight now, it's Volundale, All Archie getting right up on the fence, Patronise on the outside, Ice Cream Sunday ducking back to the rail, followed by Select Prince and the Bullfighter. All Archie in front at the 200 mark from Ice Cream Sunday and Volundale, and nothing in the field showing much at the moment, but All Archie clear. He's holding them safely at bay as they get near home. Bassie's Pride rocketing home in the last bit, but All Archie won the cup over Bassie's Pride and the Bullfighter.
Well, he's useful, but Bassie's Pride was a tremendous run. She was second behind Pressman's Choice in the Sandown Cup. Won during the Flemington Carnival by 5 lengths one day. Looks a good mare.
Yes, she is, Bruce, but that race, which has traditionally been a guide to the Doncaster, was just a write-off yesterday because the trainer of the winner said he'd probably be in the paddock when the Doncaster was run.
And Ricochet Rosie was scratched, and I guess she was the only real Doncaster hope. Yeah. Now, I know you're excited about a horse we saw in New Zealand yesterday. It was the New Zealand Stakes, one of their glamour weight for age races, a horse called Surface Paradise.
Yes, and guess which stable it comes from?
Dave O'Sullivan?
Yeah.
It's a bit like David Hayes or Lee Friedman here, isn't
Absolutely. They've had great horses, Upik, Horlicks, Chivalry, Modlu Denham, Waverley Star. He's another one.
Well, he's won 7 straight now, this 3-year-old. He's going to come to Sydney, isn't he, running the Rosehill Guineas?
Yes, that's probably be his next run. 7 on the trot in New Zealand. He absolutely annihilates the fields over there.
OK, let's go to Ellerslie. This is one of their glamour races for the year. This 3-year-old, he's very, very special. His name is Surface Paradise.
As they work past the 500, though, and Nicholas James by a length and a half. There's the favourite, Surface Paradise, angled off the fence, followed by Keeper. Grey Invader's coming into it, followed by Seraphic and Chuzura. Down they come, 300 left to go, and Great Invader and Surface Paradise, Seraphic. They're followed Mr. Brooker, and behind them to Chuzura. Castletown's riding up, but Surface Paradise at the 250, kick clear by 2.5 to Grey Invader. They're followed by Seraphic. It's all over at the 100. Surface Paradise, a hands and heels ride. Seraphic holding second, but Surface Paradise won it. Terrific second, third, dead set close. Grey Invader, Mr. Brooker,
there's some good horses in the race. He might be the best since Bone Crusher. Keith, he won the New Zealand Derby over 2,400. He then won his next start at 1,400, freshened up and won at 2,000. He's a super horse, isn't he?
Yes, he certainly is something special. The list of O'Sullivan names or trained horses that I gave to you, I'm probably missing quite a few, but the stable says, Bruce, that this might be the best yet, so he's got some great horses to be better than, hasn't he?
Well, our 3-year-old colts are ordinary, I think. Canny Lad's probably potentially the best. Bureaucracy's a sprinter, but our 3-year-old stayers are pretty average. He'll make mincemeat of them.
I think so. Yes, I agree.
He's certainly... I'm glad you agree, Keith, actually.
I'm a forgiving person. I still can't get out of my mind. David Hayes told you on Friday night, was it?
I did try and get in touch with you.
Oh, Bruce.
You're very hard to get on a Friday, Keith.
Yeah, you're normally honest too.
Especially after lunch. Now, Keith, the Australian Cup, you told me to take the evens better loosen up a fortnight ago. He's now 5-2 on. We're about to have a look at the market.
Yes, did you take it?
No, did you get on?
We should have.
And if Citizen doesn't run, he's going to be even shorter. I mean, I guess the Vogue out the gate now. One of the keys will be Canny Lad, whether he, in fact, runs in this race, because the 3-year-old at the weights and things might run a good race.
Yes, and on the 15-1 rung there too, Bruce, is My Eagle Eye, who has come closer to any other horse to stretching the great New Zealander we just saw, Surface Paradise.
OK, now the Golden Slipper's a fair way off, but Bold Promise is the favourite at 7-4. She was beaten in a trial, I believe, on Friday in Sydney.
Yes, by an unraced filly, I believe, trained by Tommy Smith, Sterling Smith's uncle. And I believe that Bold Promise Sterling must have some worries about the filly because he's now sought permission to give her a special gallop in Sydney.
Well, I wouldn't take 7-4. That's the betting. In fact, if anyone wants to back Bold Promise at 7-4, give me a ring during the week. Terrible odds. What if she drew 18 or 16 of the Golden Slipper? She'd be out the gate, wouldn't she?
What if she reproduces the form that she won with in Queensland? You'll be paying for 10 years.
Do you want twos?
No.
See you next week, Blue Diamond. Razor Rhythm will win, Keith.
All right, I'll leave my phone number, please.
We'll take a break, and after the break we'll be talking to Steve Backley, the world champion javelin thrower.
If you missed Night Live last week, then you missed one Bet Davis, 2 Garbos, a double Dutch cameraman.
She's got a zucchini in a tusk.
Book that guy.
A compere with a superb mastery of the English language.
He's alive, he got the jive.
And some very strange goings on in the audience. So make sure you're with us this week for Judy Morris, John Button, Hothouse Flowers and Jeremy Irons.